You feel it in the grocery store aisle, that moment of hesitation when you look at the price of steak. You feel it when you open your mailbox and see the letter from your insurance company. The numbers are going up, but your confidence is going down. You worked for 40 years to build a fortress of safety. You did everything right, but lately, safety has become very expensive. There is a gnawing suspicion in the back of your mind, a feeling that the game has changed, but nobody sent the new rule book to your house. You saved dollars, you trusted the bank, you trusted the plan. But look at your savings. They don't buy what they used to. The ice cube is melting in your hand, and the people in charge, they tell you it's raining while they are pissing on your boots. Turn on the TV. They smile. They tell you the economy is strong. They point to the stock market hitting new highs, but you know the truth. The market is not the economy. The market is a casino. And in a casino, the house always wins. They aren't worried about your retirement. They are worried about keeping the music playing just long enough to get their money out. Then there is Bitcoin. For years, they told you it was rat poison. They told you it was for drug dealers and gamblers. Your financial advisor smirks when you mention it. He tells you it's a bubble. He tells you to stay away. He tells you to stick to the safe stuff. The bonds, the mutual funds, the paper. But watch their hands, not their mouths. While they were shouting fraud on the news, what were they doing in the dark? They were buying. The biggest banks in the world are now the biggest owners. Why? Did they suddenly fall in love with freedom? Did they suddenly decide to help the little guy? Number. Wall Street does not have a conscience. It has a calculator. They realized they could not destroy Bitcoin. It was too strong. It was too fast. So they decided to do the next best thing. They decided to domesticate it. They decided to put a collar on it. While they told you to look away, they were building a cage. This isn't about adoption. This is about control. They wanted to turn the only asset they couldn't control into just another chip in their casino. They wanted to turn the tiger into a paper tiger. This isn't about technology. You don't need to understand code to understand this heist. You just need to understand greed. It is about a loophole found in the plumbing of the financial markets. A loophole that allows banks to sell things they don't own, to suppress prices they don't like, to skim wealth from the one place you thought was untouchable. You think the volatility is natural? You think the price crashes because people like you are selling? No. It is engineered. It is a show. They shake the tree to make the apples fall so they can gather them up for pennies. It is a rig. And you are the mark. To understand how they are rigging the future, we have to look at the past. We have to look at a crime scene. Most people think this started with computers. It didn't. It started with gold. And it started in 1974. Do you remember the lines at the gas station? Do you remember the feeling that the dollar in your pocket was rotting? The 1970s. The government broke its promise. They took the dollar off the gold standard. Suddenly, money was just paper. And paper burns. You felt the heat. Everyone did. Back then, if you wanted safety, you bought gold. You held the metal. It was heavy. It was real. If you owned it, a bank couldn't print more of it. The price went up because gold is rare. It was honest. And that honesty terrified the people in charge. The government had a problem. They knew they couldn't stop you from wanting gold. But if everyone sold their dollars to buy metal, the system would collapse. They needed a way to satisfy your hunger without feeding you the meal. They needed a decoy. Enter the futures market. In 1974, they changed the rules. They created a new way to buy gold. But you weren't buying the metal. You were buying a contract, a promise, a piece of paper that said gold. Here is the trick. There is only so much real gold in the world, but there is no limit to how much paper they can print. By selling paper gold, they flooded the market. Supply went up, price went down. They didn't need to find more gold mines. They just needed a Xerox machine. This wasn't an accident. It was a weapon. Internal documents from the time admit it. The goal was to make the price of gold go crazy. Up and down. Wild swings. Why? To scare you. To make gold look like a gamble, not a savings account. It worked. The average American got scared and stayed in dollars. Fast forward 50 years? The players have changed, but the playbook is the same. Now, the threat isn't gold, it's Bitcoin. And the solution isn't a futures contract, it's the ETF, the Exchange Traded Fund. They sold the ETF to you as a gift. Now you can buy Bitcoin in your 401k, they said. No passwords to remember, no hackers to fear. We will hold it for you. It sounds convenient, but in finance, convenience is the enemy of wealth. They didn't create the ETF to help you buy Bitcoin. They created it to stop you from holding it. As long as the Bitcoin stays in their vault and you only hold the receipt, they control the price. It wasn't an access pass, it was a leash. But the Bitcoin ETF is worse than the gold market. Much worse. In the fine print, there is a clause, a mechanism called cash creation. It sounds technical. It is actually a trapdoor. It guarantees that when push comes to shove, they never have to touch the real asset unless they want to. Let me show you how the trap snaps shut. Let's look under the hood. On the surface, you buy a share of an ETF. You see the Bitcoin symbol in your account. You see the price move. You think you own a piece of Bitcoin. You don't. You own a claim. You own a tracking number for a package that might not be in the warehouse. The bank takes your money. They put it in a trust. Then another bank acts as the custodian. Layers upon layers. Between you and the asset, there are lawyers, managers, and fees. But the real danger isn't the fee. It is the phantom share. Imagine a valet parking lot. You pull up in your car. You hand the keys to the valet. He gives you a ticket number 001. You feel safe. You go inside to eat dinner. You have the ticket. The ticket proves you own the car, right? Wrong. While you are eating, the valet goes to the back office. He Xeroxes your ticket. He makes 10 copies. Then he sells those tickets to 10 other people. Here's a car, he says. He takes their money. Now 11 people think they own your car. This is called rehypothecation. It is a fancy word for a simple scam. In the derivatives market, Wall Street can create supply out of thin air. Real Bitcoin is scarce. It is hard to find. But paper Bitcoin? They can print that all day long. Here is the loophole. When the price of Bitcoin starts to go up too fast, they don't buy more Bitcoin. They just print more tickets. They flood the market with paper contracts. When supply goes up, price comes down. They dilute your investment without ever mining a single coin. It is a game of musical chairs. Imagine a parking lot with 100 spaces, but the owner has sold 500 tickets. As long as everyone doesn't come for their car at the exact same time, the scam works. The banks have turned Bitcoin into a fractional reserve banking system. They sell what they don't have. Who benefits? The market makers. These are the firms that sit in the middle. They see your orders before they happen. When you buy the ETF, they know. When you panic, they know. They are the valet, and they are betting against you. They collect the fees. They collect the spread. They use your retirement money to short the very asset you are trying to invest in. You are funding your own enemy. You are paying for the weapon they use to keep the price down. You might be thinking, if this is rigged, why should I touch it? Because they are suppressing the price today to close the trapdoor tomorrow. But the math is only half the battle. To truly control you, they have to break your spirit. If you think the financial engineering is bad, wait until you see how they manipulate your fear. This is psychological warfare. Watch the news. When Bitcoin crashes 20%, do they tell you it's a buying opportunity? No. They put experts on TV to scream that the sky is falling. They tell you it is going to zero. They tell you it is dead. Again, they want you scared. They need you to panic. Why? Because when you panic, you sell. And when you sell, who is on the other side of the trade? They are. They need you to dump your real Bitcoin so they can scoop it up for pennies. You are the herd. They are the wolves. They know exactly how to make the herd move. They cast a shadow of fear, and you run. They don't need to force you. They just need to frighten you. They know your psychology. They know you worked hard for 40 years. They know you rely on dividends. They know you crave stability. You fear the drawdown. You fear losing what you have built. So, they weaponize that fear against you. They engineer the volatility. The wild swings up and down? That isn't a bug. That is a feature. Volatility is the fence they build to keep you out. It is a filtration system designed to separate the impatient from their money. They make the real asset look unsafe. They make it look like a roller coaster. Then they offer you the solution. Here, they say, take the paper version. It's safe, it's regulated, it's easy. They are guiding you into the slaughterhouse, and you are thanking them for opening the door. You aren't crazy for feeling anxious. You aren't foolish for being skeptical. That anxiety was manufactured in a boardroom in Manhattan. They hired psychologists to design these charts. They are banking on your fatigue. They are betting that you will get tired. They are betting that you will settle for the safe paper version instead of the real thing. They are betting that you will trade your freedom for a little bit of comfort. So, how do you beat a rigged casino? You don't count cards. You don't play by their rules. You have to do the one thing a bank can never do. You have to take physical possession. The trap only works if you stay in their system. The moment you step out, the game breaks. Let me show you the exit. The loophole only works on paper Bitcoin. It relies on the fact that you are too lazy or too scared to hold the asset yourself. But the moment you take self-custody, when you hold the private keys, you remove your asset from their ledger. You take your money out of their casino. Think back to the valet. If 10 people hold tickets, but you are the only one who walks into the lot and drives your car away, what happens to the other 9? They are left holding paper. You are left holding the asset. When you withdraw to a hardware wallet, you are driving the car off the lot. You are forcing them to admit the truth. This is the insider strategy. It is the one thing a bank can never do for you. They can sell you a promise. They can sell you a derivative, but they cannot sell you sovereignty. Only you can take that. Stop thinking like an investor looking for a return. Stop looking at the price in dollars. Start thinking like a central bank looking for reserves. Do not trade. Do not use leverage. Accumulate the physical asset and remove it from the system. Be your own bank. Every time you move Bitcoin to cold storage, you dry up the liquidity they need to manipulate the price. You take the chips off the table. You force the math to break in your favor. If everyone did this, their paper game would collapse in an hour. They want you to be a trader. Traders lose. They want you to be a gambler. Gamblers go broke. Be a saver. Be a vault. When you hold the key, their volatility cannot hurt you. The price on the screen is just noise. The asset in your hand is the signal. They built a system to own you. They built a loophole to trick you. They built a media machine to scare you. But for the first time in history, the exit door is open. You just have to be brave enough to walk through it. They're playing a game of musical chairs with your retirement. The music is about to stop. Make sure you aren't the one left fighting for a seat. I'm the architect, and I'll see you on the other side. If you want to understand the plumbing of the next financial crisis before it hits your pension, subscribe. In a world of noise, silence is the only luxury. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The narrator is a character. Nothing in this video constitutes financial, legal, or investment advice. The content refers to historical events and market mechanics, but should not be taken as a recommendation to buy or sell any asset. Crypto assets are volatile and risky. Do your own research or consult a certified financial professional before making any investment decisions. The creators of this video are not responsible for your financial losses.